I really like journaling. I've been doing it since I was about 7, and writing down my thoughts really helps me empty my head, relax, and have a clearer view of my plans and aspirations. In my journaling journey, I found that the internet is a really great tool to find different methods, each oriented towards a different goal, like the bullet journaling system for having a clear idea of your tasks for the day, or commonplace books to keep track of the things that you've learned. Today I want to share with you a journaling method that is not so popular, but I think definitely deserves more attention. This method is supported by research to have a great impact on balancing your mental and emotional health. I want to know that all the resources and bibliography for this video can be found on my personal website. The link can be found in the description below. And that this video is a part of a 3-video series that I will be doing on journaling. A quick disclaimer before I start: I am not in any ways a health or medical professional. I'm just a pre-med student, very interested in psychology and sharing things on the internet. Please consult a healthcare professional if you are suffering from PTSD, depression, anxiety, or any of the other things we're going to talk about in this video. So the Pennebaker Journaling method was developed by American psychologist James Pennebaker, and is one of the most well-documented journaling methods there is in the literature of psychology. It has been shown to promote the reduction of symptoms in both post-traumatic stress disorder and depression in studies done with veterans, as well as an improvement in immune system functionality and a consequent decrease in general health problems. Dr. Andrew Huberman has a full video on the Pennebaker journaling method, which I really recommend watching, and the link can also be found on my website in the description below. So how do you do the Pennebaker journaling method? Basically, you're going to sit down in a private place with no distractions, and you're going to write for about 15 to 20 minutes about a traumatic or emotionally charged event that happened to you. You should try to write as truly as possible about the event itself, what happened, what you felt at the moment, and any thoughts related that might appear during your writing. You should not censor any of your words. You should try to write in a certain conscious flow. Keep in mind that this is completely private. You don't need to share it with anybody else, and you can tear away the paper after you're done with it. After you're done with writing, you are going to go back to your daily life and your normal tasks, and you are going to repeat this 15-20 minutes writing session between 2 and 4 times. You can do it on consecutive days throughout a week, for example, or you can spread it out across maximum a month. This journaling method can be done with the assistance of a therapist, but it still keeps most of its strength even if you do it alone without a therapist, which is a very important note for the people who, for one reason or another, can't really afford or search a therapist for themselves. But how does the Pennebaker method work? How can writing a couple words on a piece of paper about a traumatic event have such a great impact on your mental and even physical health? So basically what happens is that when you experience a traumatic event for the first time, you have to react and assess the situation really quickly, giving very little time for your rational mind to really comprehend what's happening. What's going on in the brain is that the brain is very literally turning down the activity of the neocortex, which is responsible for conscious thought, and turning up the activity of your limbic system, which is responsible for your emotional responses and your fight, flight, freeze mechanisms. Now, your brain is an incredibly intelligent machine. The memory of what happened during the event and how you reacted to it will be kept so that in the future you can prevent a similar situation from happening or react more quickly if it does. The problem is that sometimes this adaptive system can go beyond what is necessary for the protection of your life and health and create trauma that will lead to higher levels of stress and increase the possibility of developing problems such as PTSD, depression, or chronic anxiety. In the car crash example, a person could start feeling very anxious every time they are near a car. And even worse, in situations where trauma was caused within a relationship, the person's very concept that they have of themselves and their self-worth may be affected. For example, if someone was repetitively victim of abuse and gaslighting by a partner, the way that they emotionally understood their role in the situation to make sense of what was going on in their life at the moment can stay stuck in their minds, impacting the way they see themselves after the situation has happened. And this is where the Pennebaker method comes into play. The act of reminiscing and writing about a traumatic event in the context of safety, openness, and vulnerability allows for a reinterpretation of what happened, the role the person played, and how this should affect their view of themselves and the world. This change in attitude about the traumatic event and about life comes through three main mechanisms. First, each time the person retells their story, they are making a conscious effort to rationally understand as well as they can and as truly as they can what happened during the traumatic event. This engages more and more of the neocortex and less of the limbic system at each writing session. Second, the stress released by the recalling of the memory in itself will increase neuroplasticity in the brain, which is the ability of the brain to physically adapt and change its connections in reaction to learning something. It's like a metal that when exposed to the right levels of heat becomes pliable and can then be more easily shaped. And third, the space between each writing session, being between one night and a couple of days, allows the brain to consolidate these changes into long-term memory through sleep. So essentially, the Pennebaker journaling method is replacing a very emotionally charged and stressful memory by a more neutral and coherent one, which still serves you to avoid similar situations in the future, but where you have a clearer understanding of what really happened and what was your role in it. It's like your brain had set up a very loud and sensitive emergency alarm at the moment of the traumatic event. And by reassessing what happened, you are tuning the alarm so that it will still work if ever you were to face danger again, but where it won't be disrupting your daily life anymore. And this helps you decrease your levels of chronic stress and cortisol in your blood, which consequently decreases the amount of inflammation in your body. And this decrease in inflammation alleviates the symptoms of many different autoimmune diseases, such as asthma, arthritis, or cystic fibrosis. It also helps with the symptoms of other stress-related problems, such as poor sleep and even pain perception. Now, there are two important things to keep in mind in order to prevent harm from happening to either ourselves or to others while we're practicing this method. The first one is that the presence of overwhelming negative feelings and ruminating thoughts may suggest that the memory is still too fresh or too emotionally charged to be dealt with right now. It is best to stop, do something relaxing, wait a while, and seek professional attention before trying the method again. Stress, sadness, anger, and other negative feelings are normal when writing about traumatic memories, but they shouldn't start affecting your daily life while you're trying to write about them. The second thing to keep in mind is that you should be very careful whom you share this information with, because sharing too much about your trauma can be very stressful for the person who's listening to you, and their negative reactions can make you resent ever writing about your traumatic memories and sharing them with that person. Of course, feel free to share any of the things you write about with a trusted physician or therapist that is there to listen to your trauma and to your difficulties. In conclusion, this journaling system developed by Pennebaker is very short and research cheap, but can have a great impact on your mental health and well-being. It costs basically nothing except for a little bit of your time and has little negative effects since you can stop it at any time you feel overwhelmed. I really recommend trying it out and sharing it with someone who might need it. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you guys next time.